Hey, everybody. Hello, hello. It's Tanya Kersey, the Filmmaker's Success Mentor. And I am here tonight to talk to you guys about the 5 things that you need in order to make a creatively, critically, and financially successful film. I'm going to wait till a few people come in. When you come in, make sure that you share the broadcast so other people will be able to tune in. Let me know that you're here. Say hi. So I know you're here. Say hello. Let me say that down. Say hello and let me know that you're here. Okay. I see people are starting to come in. Okay. So like I said, my name is Tanya Kersey, and I am the Filmmaker Success Mentor. And what I do is I help filmmakers, make films, get their films made, because a lot of people go through film school and 60, $70,000 to go through film school. And then they come out and they don't know what to do. They don't know how to make a movie. They know the creative parts, but they don't know the business parts. And you could have all the talent in the world and have great ideas, but if you don't know the business part, you're in trouble. So today I want to talk about, the 5 things that you really need to make a creatively, critically, and financially successful film. And I posted, actually, I've listed them in the post there, so you can see what they are. They are a plan, a saleable script, talent, solid marketing and distribution plan, and then finally, knowledge of your financials, really knowing what your financials are so you can attract investors. So those are the 5 things. And today I want to talk about the plan, because the plan is really, really important. And this is basically it in a nutshell. People say, I want to make a film. Okay, so what does that mean? What does that really mean? What do you need to do? And that's where the plan comes in. You want to make a film, but you're not like following a roadmap to get there. And so, I strongly recommend all my clients to sit down and we map out a plan, which basically takes into account, okay, I'm going to finish my script, then I'm going to get coverage, and these are the people I'm going to go to, and this is how much it's going to cost. You need to have all of this stuff planned out. So number 1, you know what you have to do. And number 2, you know if it's going to cost anything, because filmmaking is not free. You may get money to make the movie, but you need money before you make the movie just to develop your script and get things done. I mean, even to get a budget done, you can't get a budget done for free. And if you don't know people in the industry, it's going to be really, really hard for you to get that budget. Hey, Audrey. Hi, Najee. I see you there too. Okay, so the first thing is that plan, having that plan. What does that mean? That means looking at all the things that you want to accomplish now, in the next 90 days, in the next 6 months, the next year, and the next 3 to 5 years, and really laying them out. What are those big things that you want to accomplish? And the way to accomplish them and to be successful at this filmmaking game is to really understand what it's going to take to get there. Most people don't understand. They just say they want to make a movie and they go out and do a bunch of things, and they're reactionary as opposed to making things happen. You want to make things happen. You want to implement actions that could take you a step further towards getting your film made. So you want to look at what those big goals are, and then you want to look at, what did you do this year? What are the big things that you achieved this year? Most people don't even realize how much they achieved. You have this big view of you haven't found success until you've made a film and gotten distribution and all those kinds of things. But most filmmakers are successful at many different stages of their career. So you really want to kind of look and see, what did you do this year and what didn't go quite well? Because it's in the things that didn't go quite well that you're going to be able to figure out what went wrong, why that went wrong, and be able to correct them for the next time. Most people don't take enough time to really go back and listen to themselves and to what they did and to look at all the fine details. And that's what you really need to do if you want to create a plan. So you want to make a movie. So the first thing is you got to write a script, right? And like I said, you want to get coverage on the script. You have to get coverage on the script. I know everybody says, oh, I've got the perfect script, it's great, yada, 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 yada. But the reality is that all scripts need development. I mean, I have friends that, have made millions of dollars writing huge films, and they still get coverage on their scripts. They still get development. And when you sell a script to a theater, a movie theater, a movie studio, excuse me, the first thing they're going to do is set you up, with a writing team to develop your script, the one that they just paid tons of money to buy, because the script has got to work. But let's take that even back further a step. Before you make your film, you want to make sure, is your film the kind of film that can be successful? And so that means really looking at the industry, looking at your genre, looking at, the kind of talent you're going to need to pull this off. So you take your idea and you want to create, a romantic comedy. What's it going to take? Look at other films that have similar features and assets to yours. It may be time, it may be place, it may be situational, but you want to find what's called comparables. And you want to look at them, and you want to do this before you write your script or before you finish it, before you invest all that time, because sometimes films don't have another life. It's just not the right time for them. And so you want to make sure that this is the right time for your film. A lot of people have passion projects, and the reason it's so hard to get passion projects made is because they're based on the filmmaker's passion, and they're not based on the market, the studio, what the studios are looking for. So you want to make sure that before you start working on your film, you've looked around, you have an idea of, what kind of film you want to make, around how much it's going to cost, what is it going to take based on other films that have come out like that. And then you want to also think about who's going to buy it. Where is it going to be screened? If you want to go the theatrical route, is it a film that can get theatrical distribution? Where are you going to go to get theatrical distribution? Because you don't want to start thinking about that, when the film is made and you're in post and now you're looking for a distributor. You want to decide that thing way beforehand. So you have a really keen idea that, I want to take this to Lionsgate, or I want to take it to Paramount, or whatever the studio is, because along with that, then you know where you need to start creating relationships. You know that those are the places that you're going to go after. And so you want to start creating relationships so you have inroads into that studio. And so once you decide that, and you can also look at television, what television networks, cable networks is my project right for? And, I've seen filmmakers that have had projects that really just weren't right now. Just think about after 9/11, if you had a terrorist film, it wasn't going to fly right then and there. So it's not always internal, it's oftentimes external factors that determine whether a film is really good for right now, whether it's marketable. So you want to take all of those things into consideration. Sign of the times, what's going on, what people are looking for, what's the trend right now. And then you want to figure out, can you make a film that is going to be able to play, in that game, in that realm? Can you make a film that's going to have the talent and that you can get the money, and also that the film is in scope? A lot of people don't talk about that, but part of having a plan is planning the scope, knowing that this is a film that you can pull off. If you're starting out, there's certain things that you can and cannot do because you just don't have everything that you need. You don't have the people, you don't have the money, you don't have the resources. I know filmmakers who've been around for a while, and they go over to the Sony lot and do their editing, or they get someone to do their sound. That's how they put their films together, but that's based on relationships that they've developed over the years. So if you're just starting out and you need a lot of things for your film, like you need stunts and, car wrecks and things like that, that film may be out of scope for you right now. So those are things that you really want to consider. Look at your film, and is it something that you can pull off by yourself right now without, too many resources? That's number one. So you did that, and then you decided whether or not, there was a distribution outlet for your film. So you could start building those relationships. Why wait until, you're ready to look for a distributor and you're going to AFM, and looking for a shot in the dark? This way you start creating relationships now. You call up the distribution company and say, hey, this is a project that I'm working on. I'd like to keep in touch and let you know what's going on. You put them on your mailing list, ever so often you let them know, you send them, emails about highlights of great things that are happening, if you raise the money or, whatever it is, because you want to keep that distributor really informed on what you're doing. So they'll be more interested in your project. And then a lot of times that's when they really get involved. So you wonder how people get a distributor so early in the game. It's because they did distribution in reverse. They did distribution first. And they knew who wanted their film. They knew where they were going to sell their film. So they didn't have to worry about that. And then by doing that as well, that helps you get investors, because now you could say to investors, I've been talking to this distributor and, they're talking about releasing the film or whatever they're talking about. See if you can get a letter of intent from them. They do those kinds of things. So, make sure that you have got all your resources set up before you start making the film. So I hope, does everybody understand that? Are there any questions about that? Because I know that's something that people don't talk about often, but it's really, really important that you, have all those things and you've thought about all those things. So remember, you want to look at your distribution in reverse, and you want to really think about, does your film fit in the times? Is there a need for the film? Is there an audience for the movie? Is it in scope for you? That's why they always say, for first timers, you want to do a small drama film. You don't want to do, a big action film, because you don't have the resources when you're just starting out. And you may have a great action script, but you need to put that on the back burner until you're in a place where you can really pull that off. The worst thing to do is to have a film that you really, really want to do, and you just can't get the resources to do it, because you're not in that place. So, make sure you think about all of these things. And as you're planning now, you're thinking about, what do you need? So you want to make a film, you want to figure out where you want to distribute it, you want to figure out what are all the steps that you have to take to get this film made. Most people don't think about that. They just start doing, and you really want to map out, put together a roadmap, and then you could follow that roadmap to a successful conclusion. People don't think about the cost of developing. You got to pay to get your budget done. You've got to pay for coverage. You've got to pay all these different monies before you even get investors on board. You need to pay for some artwork or, whatever it is, to get maybe some kind of trailer or to put together a deck. So, those are things you want to put together. A pitch deck, which you can pitch to actors and producers and distributors. You can use that in any way you want to, but you want to have a really good deck. So you want somebody that has marketing experience, especially movie marketing experience, who can write your deck for you. I mean, you can do it yourself, but if that's not your forte, why do it yourself? Why not get somebody who can show you in the best light? And that's one of the things that you really have to think about, is that every step you take really needs to show you in the best light. And oftentimes that costs money. So you're putting together your pitch deck. You want to get someone to write it for you, and you want to get someone to do the graphics and put it together. The worst thing is to have a movie idea and to give them a pitch deck with no color and is very linear. You want to have something, that looks fabulous, like your film is going to look. Because if you don't have that, they're going to wonder, what kind of film are they going to make? They can't even put a pitch deck together. So it's all those little kinds of things in terms of your goals, in terms of your plan that you want to think about. So you've thought about, you want to go through the distribution part. You want to look at your script, really develop your story really, really well. I know you have a great idea, but great ideas are just great ideas until they're developed into masterpieces. So you want to develop your project, and that's not what your mom says or your dad or your cousins. You want to have, industry professionals who know what they're talking about, and not looking at your script just as a script, but are also looking at it as a marketing vehicle. Like I said, with the terrorist example, post 9/11, nobody was doing terrorist movie. And if you remember, all of those movies were actually pulled out of production or were stopped. And they really, had to go and reschedule them because that was not the climate of the country at the time. So that's really important to take into consideration. And also in your planning, you want to do your own SWOT analysis. SWOT stands for strengths, weaknesses, opportunities, and threats. And it's a grad school, an MBA tool that people use to look at assets and liabilities. So for your strengths, that's something inner. So you want to figure out what are the things, what are your strong points? What are you bringing to the table? And it's not things like, I'm persistent and I'm passionate. Every filmmaker's like that. What are the things that are valuable, say, to an investor and to a project that you have? It could be access to something. It could be a myriad of things. But you want to make sure that you thought about your strengths. Then you want to talk about your weaknesses, and that's also an internal thing. What are the things that are going to hold you back? And those things are things like lack of money, lack of resources, lack of people. And once you figure all that out, you can kind of look to the future and figure out where your obstacles are going to be. So they're not just jump up suddenly and, this obstacle is standing in front of you. You've actually thought it out. Then you have threats, opportunities and threats, SWOT, SWOT. So the opportunities and threats are more external. Opportunities are things that are opportunities that are outside of your inner realm. It might be that you have a certain type of film at a certain time that they're really hot. You may have, an actor attached that's really hot. It could be a whole bunch of different things, but what opportunities present themselves to you for this film project? And finally, you want to think about the threats. What are the things that can stop you in your track? And that goes back to the, political, socioeconomic, climate, weather, all of those things. Those are things that are external threats that can literally stop your project in its track. And so when you're putting your plan together, you want to first do that SWOT analysis, and really think about what are those things that are strengths, weaknesses, opportunities, and threats, and how are they going to affect your project? Then you want to, once you've done your SWOT analysis and you have a really good idea of where you are, your project's in scope, you have goals, then you want to break down your goals to actions, because goals are just goals. They have to have actions attached to them. So, I always use the analogy, say you were an actor and you were going to go, you needed headshots. So, okay, you need headshots, but what does that really mean, right? That means that you have to find a photographer, or you have to find a referral to a photographer. You need to check out their work. So you need to call, make an appointment, see their work. You need to book a makeup artist. You need to book a hairstylist. You need to talk to the photographer, about what kind of looks you should bring. Then you do your shoot, and then you've got to go and get reproductions. It's all these little steps to your goal of getting new headshots. And if you don't map out all of those steps, you could miss something. You could forget something. And that's why it's so important. I gave you that analogy, but there's a million others that you can think of. So for all of your goals, if one of your goals is, to find financing, how much money do you need? There's a whole bunch of questions that you can ask yourself. And I'm going to talk about that in a couple of days when I talk about financials. But there's a bunch of questions that you need to be able to answer in order to make sure you can attract investors. And you want to start thinking about them now rather than later, so you have a good idea of what they're going to be. You also want to think about your audience. Who wants to see this film? How are you going to cast it? What are your connections for that? How are you going to reach the actors that you want to reach? How are you going to reach the producers that you want to do? Do you have access to crew? It's all these questions, all of these steps in the filmmaking process that you need answers to. And this is what you put into your plan. So planning is, I can't begin to tell you how critical it is. It's so, so important that you have a really good plan and, you really have an idea of what you're doing. So the SWOT analysis, I actually have something called the SWOT analysis, and it's the film version, and it's Cyber Monday. So I'm basically giving it away. It's $7. It's normally like $57. And it's a nice audio training, and it's got many forms and like a little ebook attached to it, and it literally walks you through figuring out what your strengths, weaknesses, opportunities, and threats are. So if you want to grab that for $7, just post in the comments, I want the SWOT book, and I'll reach out to you. That's SWOT. And like I said, it's $7. I know my assistant Audrey is on the line. Let's see, Audrey, do we have any questions here? Let's see. No, not yet. Okay. Hi, Phil, and hi, Alan. Oh, Alan. Hey, Alan. How are you? Old friend of mine I haven't seen in a while. Okay. So that's part of your plan. So you want to go and you look at what you've done. You want to look at why it didn't work out, what mistakes you've made and how you're going to correct them in the future. And then you put together your goals, and then you break your goals down into actions. And then the actions are what you have to implement. So that's your focus is on those actions. So we talked about what it would be like in financing. So, you want to come up with a list of potential financiers. You want to know how much you need for the movie. You want to be able to answer all of those questions. You may want to do a crowdfunding campaign. And any of those things that you do, you have to be really smart about it. You have to be really conscientious about what you're doing, what you want, and how you're going about to get it. And everyone thinks getting investors is really difficult. And I think the most difficult part in getting investors is that people don't project and they don't pitch the kind of project that's financeable and is fundable. If you don't have, all your T's crossed and I's dotted, and you can't tell a potential investor how they're going to get their money back, what's the process, answer. I have a list of like 26 questions that investors are going to ask of you, and I'll give that away to you as a freebie if you come back for I think it's part 5. So in 5 days, I'll be talking about that, and I'll have that freebie, which will really clue you into all the questions that you have to be answering. So you need to make money, then you need to cast, then you need to do locations, you're starting to crew up. So all of these are action items under your goal of making a movie. And so what I want you guys to think about is you've got a movie or a script that you're thinking about. I want you to go and do that SWOT analysis. If you are not clear how to do it, invest $7. And like I said, mine is $57 normally. Cyber Monday, going to give it away for $7. Post in the group, SWOT $7, and I'll get to you. Do a SWOT analysis and make sure that this script is something that's going to really be doable for you. I mean, any script is doable, but you don't want something that's going to be really hard. You want something that makes sense, that people are going to want to see, and that people are going to be able to get behind. So you want to think about that. I talked about your cast. How are you going to, cast this project? Your investors, we talked about your locations, crewing up, all of your licensing and permits, all of that stuff. And a lot of that stuff, you have to put some money up beforehand. So even to put your pitch deck together and to have all that information, you may have to put down some deposits here or there or pay some fees. So you're going to need some money. I mean, every filmmaker needs money. And I say you need a nice size development fund. You want to build a website, all these important things that you have to have before you even go into production. You have to have a press release. There's a laundry list of things that you need to have. And so once you do your plan and you figure out, everything that you need, then you can go through and figure out how much they're going to cost. Yeah. And that's where it gets really interesting, because now you're really getting a look at how much it's going to cost you to make this film before you even get financiers involved or investors involved. This is what it's going to be. These are the hard costs to do the things I need to do just to attract investors. So, and that means, talent. Say you hire a casting director, costs money to do that. if you want to get production designer and some of the crew people on board so that you have a better visual picture of what the film's going to look like, you can talk to them about that. Those are all things that you can add into your pitch deck about the mood and the tone and the coloring. If it's a lighthearted movie, you don't want to have a dark pitch deck. You want it to be light and bright and airy. So it's all of those kinds of things. And yes, you can do a lot of them by yourself. But here's the deal, guys. You're not a professional at doing those things. And the professionals do it so much better. So you want to be able to, pay the people who can do it really well for you and get it done that way. Any questions from anybody? Let's see. No questions yet? Okay. So I guess that's going to be it for today on planning. Like I said, if you want the SWOT analysis, it's $7. Just put in the group SWOT $7. I'll reach out to you and you'll get that. And like I said, it's normally $57. It's a Cyber Monday special that I'm giving. And take advantage of it because it's awesome. It really will open your eyes to all the things you need to be thinking about in terms of your film project. I promise you, most people who've looked at it have been just blown away. It's like, wow, I never thought of all of these things. So it puts you in a more competitive stance. It gives you more options when you know certain things. And as you learn what your strengths and opportunities are, it gives you more to add to your entire, pitch package and your business plan. So these are all important things. And once you do the planning, then you have a roadmap to follow. So it's not like you're waking up and saying, what am I going to do today? You know exactly what you're going to do every day because you have a roadmap that's outlined, that's going to take you there. And it's going to take you there successfully because you know ahead of time what you have to do. And so, you're dealing with all the obstacles and challenges. You can see them before they come. Most filmmakers have challenging experiences and, tons of obstacles that they have to overcome. And you don't want it to be that hard, and so if you do a little bit of legwork, a little bit planning in advance, that's going to make all the difference in the world. So I guess that's it. No questions. I'm going to be signing out. And I will be back tomorrow. I think it's at 5 o'clock, but I will definitely post on my Facebook page the time of tomorrow's Facebook Live. And tomorrow we'll talk about a saleable script. So that's going to be a good one. Okay, guys, I will see you later. Bye-bye.